Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is prepositional phrase 66. The prepositional phrase today is back in the day. Okay, somebody wants a screenshot, do it right now. Let's get right to it. If someone says back in the day, it is usually referring to a time, especially an earlier time in one's life, that is fondly remembered. Now, I have heard some people try to use it just to mean like a little bit in former times, but most of the time, most dictionaries actually say that it's fondly remembered. If it's fondly remembered, it probably means that it was in your lifetime. So it's probably more common to use it this way. So back in the day, it probably should be used by people that are a little bit older, at least like middle age, and definitely by older people. The older you are, the more likely you use back in the day because you have a lot more days that were back in the day. All right, let's continue here. It is hard to pinpoint the exact origin of this phrase. There are some examples as early as the 1960s and 1970s. Many linguists give credit to the hip-hop and rap community for popularizing it in the 80s and 1990s. So it appeared in a lot of the rap songs. So that's why they give credit to that. It was often heard there, and then it caught on even more. All right, and here we have just the 4 examples to show just how we would use it. Here's the first one. Back in the day, I used to be able to buy gas for less than $1 a gallon. Or you'll hear people say even cheaper than that, maybe like 60 cents or 70 cents. They might say that, especially nowadays when they see the gas prices, $3, $4, $5, whatever, they could say, especially if they're talking to a young person, they might say, yeah, back in the day, when I got my first car, gas was only 75 cents a gallon or something like that. All right, so they are fondly remembering. They wish you could return to that price. Back in the day when I was a kid, we used to camp in the backyard. You could just say something you used to do. Maybe young kids today wouldn't think that was fun at all, but you did at that time, or kids did when you were that young. Back in the day when this town was booming, maybe there was a good economy, things were going on. They used to live in a mansion on the top of that hill. Maybe they're just talking about somebody, back at that time. But you kind of remember this. You were around at this time. You were alive to see this happening. All right, and number 4 here. Back in the day, I used to go to the disco every weekend, and I could show off some fancy moves on the dance floor. So this is probably an older person that doesn't do this anymore. But, it's kind of saying, hey, I used to be young too at one time. I used to do this back in the day. I could, really move, and I was cool, or something along that line. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it's clear. I hope it's informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.